Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fast Football and Philosophy with me, Adam Foxon.
Me, Professor Jack Cunningham.
Oh, I didn't say I was a doctor.
Oh, Adam, what happened?
From-
You stripped of your title.
I don't deserve it anymore. I don't deserve it.
It's all that bad language.
Yeah, maybe it is. Have you got any tips for me, Jack?
Stop swearing.
Stop. Fucking never. From me, Dr. Adam Foxon.
And me, still Professor Jack Cunningham.
Last week we looked at King Midas and Greek myths in general. Actually, we looked at Icarus and some other things, and we tried to assimilate that with football's Wunderkinder, with Wonder Kids, and one particularly Lamine Yamal, the boy with the inflamed pubic area. Still to this day. Today we're going to be doing part one of a two-parter on this thing called Hyperreality from a French philosopher called Baudrillard. And Baudrillard is an enigmatic figure, and he posits this idea of hyperreality. And hyperreality is this idea of somehow the representations of things becoming more real and more important than the things themselves. And the second part is us going to be talking about why actually we think the real thing, the real McCoy, is actually the most important thing. So, Jack, can you tell us just a little bit about who Baudrillard is and why hyperreality is important?
Yeah, okay. Baudrillard is a 20th century French theologian, Jean Baudrillard. He's an interesting character. He's not a classic philosopher, Adam. He starts off actually as a German literature teacher. He does that at the Sorbonne. He's the first person in his family to go to the Sorbonne. Comes from a farming background. His dad's a gendarme, a policeman. So he's kind of, he's a good. The reason why I like him already is because we share the same favorite rock band. He was well into his Velvet Underground. So am I. And
what's your favourite song, Jack?
Sister Ray, right?
This is. Give us a few bars.
I don't actually, but I urge you. Sister Ray is 17 minutes long, and it is 17 minutes of your life that you'll never improve on. If you Google it, just Google Sister Ray by the Velvet Underground. A beautiful short story and wraparound music that'll set the hairs on your neck.
We would play it, but we don't want to get sued.
Yeah,
we haven't got any money.
We haven't got any money to do that. We can't ride it out. So anyway, we'll leave that to you to do look it up. So already I have an affinity with Baudrillard. So what about him? He's a sociologist after that, and then after that he comes into philosophy and he does his PhD on philosophy, particularly interested in a branch of philosophy called semiotics. He's a great photographer, by the way, as well. He takes up photography and ends up having proper exhibitions in Paris. He's a serious photographer, not just a dabbler, not just an amateur. Anyway, all that aside, he's interested in semiotics, and semiotics is the philosophy of signs that says that our life, our reality is best understood as a series of signs and symbols that we get our meaning from and our reality from.
Sure.
And what he says is that was all very well up until about the end of the 20th century. And then the world becomes a very cosmopolitan place, and technology is just spirals out of control. And our reality now, our signs and symbols become too much for us. We just have this sensory overload, and we can't make a reality out of this in the way that we could in a more simpler age.
Sure.
So we invent a hyper reality from this. So we get his images are simulacra, which is a Latin for image, okay? And from that simulacra, we enter a stage of simulacra in history where it's simulation. And we get our reality now from simulation of the complicated reality that we live.
Sure.
Okay, so our reality is too complicated, so we look for a simplified version of it. So, for example, I'll give you a good example of this. We don't find reality in our relationships anymore. We look at Geordie Shore, we look at Only Way is Essex, Towie, we look at Love Island, and then we get a simulation of of relationships, and it's easier for us to consume than a more complicated one, which would mean that we would have to go and find our own relationships and do all this. This is a simplified version of it. Probably the most clear image of it I can give you is this as well. Imagine I have a friend, Adam. That's hard to imagine, I know. But
like me, for instance.
So let's call my imaginary friend. I'm not going to get you involved in this metaphor, okay? But imagine my friend Algernon is an English guy, right?
Sure.
He loves his Irish pubs. Whenever he's in a big city, Leeds or Manchester, London, even Venice or Budapest, he goes to the Irish pub. He loves that.
We all love that.
We all love our Irish pub. He goes in and there's an old telephone box in the corner. There's bicycles hanging from the ceiling. Everywhere you look, there's a shillelagh. And it is brand spanking new, and he loves his Irish pub, right? Yeah. He's never been to Ireland, but he's bang into that. He comes and visits me in Ireland, right? Because he says, I love my Irish pubs, and he spends 2 weeks with me, and we're all over Connemara, in Galway. I take him to these dingy little pubs and
proper Irish
pubs with the old men in the corner, and it's a bit grubby. Toilets aren't pristine, but it's really kind of authentic Irish pubs. At the end of the 2 weeks, I say to Algernon, how did you like your time in Ireland? And he'd say, it's good. I liked it. I love Ireland. Lovely rolling hills. They're lovely beaches. I loved it. Only problem is you don't have any Irish pubs. Because the reality of an Irish pub has become this fake Irish pub, this faux Irish pub with all its symbols and signs and simulacra. And that is a comfortable. The toilets are clean. It's pristine. It's beautiful. It's a synthetic island which isn't grubby. And the Irish pub in Connemara just doesn't do it for him.
Didn't you once go to a conference in Africa somewhere?
That was a friend of mine, right? This is an absolutely true story, and this really illustrates hyperreality. So he is in the Gambia, and in Gambia, the main drag has lots of bars along it, all promising amazing things like striptease, and you go in every one of these, and they're all identical. It's just like chairs and table and a bar, and you can get bottles of beer, and it's lovely.
But there's an Irish pub.
And he goes in there. It's identical to all the rest. He says to your man behind the bar, the Gambian behind the bar, it says outside this is an Irish pub. The man says to him, hold on a second, and he dives down under the bar and he comes up and he's wearing a Guinness hat. There you are. My mate was immediately transformed to the pubs of Connemara. This is hyperreality, and it is that the simulation becomes more real. So, which means we can't find reality in our post-technological world. It's too complex.
Yeah, there's too much.
There is no reality in this this hyperreality. So there is no reality either way. It's just that we prefer to consume it in the fictional world that is the hyperreality, which is based on simpler signs and symbols that we can consume and digest in a safe way.
I mean, this is like, even before we get and try and apply this to football per se. This is something that we're really aware of in everyday life anyway, because in the Matrix, for example, when Morpheus is sat on that leather armchair and he offers Neo the red or the blue pill, sat beside him on that table is Simulacra and Simulacrum by Baudrillard, right? Is right there on him, and he says, and the very first scene when he shows him that the Matrix is this kind of fake reality, it's a simulation, right? It's all white everywhere, and also I can't remember what he does. He like clicks his fingers, and like all these kinds of like rows of books or guns or whatever it is, like they all just like shooting out of nowhere. And he says to him, "Welcome to the desert of the real." And that is a line from Baudrillard, right? It's exactly what Baudrillard is talking about.
Right. That's really, really interesting, isn't it? You know, and you can see it's seductive, isn't it? We're seduced into saying we desperately want reality. We talked about this in the absurdism thing. Camus talks about this, doesn't he? Where we are in an irrational universe, but we're rational beings, and we want to make
sense of it.
We want to make sense of it. We want a reality. So even if the reality isn't true, we want it anyway. We want to consume it anyway because, you know, it's a leveling thing. It's seductive. It's calming. It's easy. It's easier.
Yeah.
than what we would experience in reality.
In reality, and actually, so that's how that's the perfect way that we then apply it to football, right? Because going to a football match has all kinds of danger attached to it, because it's freezing cold and you don't know the person that you're going to be sat next to on the terraces, and they might be singing some songs that you don't necessarily agree with, and there's all these kinds of things. I'm thinking of you specifically, Chelsea fans, and there's all these kinds of there's all these kinds of things that are happening, right?
Yeah.
Whereas actually, if you sit at home and you're watching the Chelsea Barcelona like it is tonight, right? And you're watching that game, and while the Chelsea fans start singing about something a little bit unsavoury, and you manage just about to hear it, at least then the commentator is going to say, "Well, I apologise for the bad language," and you. Thank God for that then. That's all right then. But it's a much more sanitised version of the game, isn't it? It's much more easier to kind of get to grips with.
Yeah.
And also, like, I don't necessarily have to understand everything that's happening on the screen, because there are literally people there to explain it to me.
Yeah. You can have a beer, you can have some sandwiches, you can have your mates in.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly comfortable. But what I would suggest, though, and I'm making this word up, and we're hypercollectivism. Okay, now the collective is something that is really, really important, I think, in terms of being a human being. We have it less and less and less in a post-industrial society, in a technological society. We have this collectivism, this shared experience, hyper shared experience. You get that at football. You don't get it on the couch in your sitting room. So it might be cold. It might be raining. It might be that the guy next to you might be not the person you really want to hang out with. It might be singing anti-Semitic songs. But it's a shared experience. And when it's good, it is something that you will. It is worth being uncomfortable for. It is worth.
But we need to keep our powder dry, because that's for the next episode, Jack, when we talk about hypercollectivism. In terms of the hyperreality, then we can even go further than TV, than watching it on TV, because TV opposite. I mean, if you watch a game on Amazon Prime, like some of the games are on tonight, you can kind of in real time see all the stats, and you can see what the possession stats are, who's got shots on target, and I mean, you can do that with all your betting apps and all that kind of stuff, and there are so many different ways in which you can consume representations of what's happening, copies, simulations of what's happening in real life. Even listening to the radio, I suppose, is another copy of what's actually happening on the pitch, right?
Yeah.
But we can go further than that, because you talk about hypercollectivism and this kind of idea that we need a shared experience, but we can kind of get that through the simulation when we play games. Because have you ever played any video games, Jack?
Never.
No. Why are we friends? And so there are. I mean, it's called EAFC now, right? But everyone calls it FIFA. So from here on in, I'm going to call it FIFA. If you play FIFA, right, you can play Ultimate Team. You can kind of create your own club, and then all your friends can join it, and you can have an 11 where you're all playing your own positions, and everyone's got afro hair, and they've got pink boots on, and they're not really playing themselves. They're playing like an idealized version of themselves, because everyone's 6'9", right? But they're also like they're as fast as a Usain Bolt is, because you can have that because you can have it all, right? When you have this simulation. And I think it gets to the point where you don't necessarily have to know anything about football, and yet you can still play football through FIFA or PES or whatever it might be, and get that kind of collectivist kind of I don't know, that kind of feeling that you get. I mean, if I'm playing with my 3 or 4 friends and we score a last minute goal, I'm still getting that euphoria. It's not. It might not be quite the same as the real McCoy, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not real.
It isn't real. It isn't real. And you can see the attraction. Like you do that, or you turn up on a Sunday at a recreation ground, which are usually unsheltered spots in the country.
I was getting changed in half a shipping container. They didn't even give us a full fucking shipping container. Give us half of it.
Exactly. So you can see the attraction here. And that's the problem, isn't it? Because some people will say, listen, what are you arguing about? It's not either or. You can do both. And you can, except the hyperreality is so seductive.
Oh,
it's
it's
telling you,
lovely.
look out the window, Adam. Do you really want to play today? Phone in. Tell him you've got a
My
bag.
Xbox does whisper at me. It does do it. It does whisper at me.
It is
Sweet nothings.
seductive. It is seductive.
It is.
So
And actually, I think FIFA know this, and I've got no bones about kind of calling FIFA a corrupt organisation. I think that's been well and truly.
it's not controversial.
It's not controversial to say that they are corrupt, right? Or at least have been corrupt in the past. Let's just put the feelers out there. I mean, if you play FIFA now, right, and you play this thing called Ultimate Team, right, and you can kind of create your own team and manage it and all these kind of things, right? Do you know how you get the players? You have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So you pay, let's say,
Real money.
Real money.
Oh.
So you can get FIFA coins, right, which you have to pay, and you can also earn them, but at a much slower rate. So what people tend to do is they'll spend 20 quid, and they'll get, say, 5 packs, and then you open your packs up, and then you get like a nice big reveal, and it's all like, whoa, and the music, whoa, like this. And then it's like fireworks go off everywhere if you get a good player, and it's like, oh my God, I've got Lionel Messi. Because there might only be, say, I don't know, like kind of 1,000 Messis globally.
Yeah.
But if you get him, by God, you've got a 95 rated player or whatever he might be, and he's going to be top dollar. And actually there was kind of real life trading where people were kind of selling their Messis for real life money, and it's, I don't know if that's against the rules, but I mean if FIFA are corrupt, why not corrupt the system? But this, and actually they're making it even more seductive, because now it's literally gambling. You're spending money on packs that are completely randomized with no guarantee of any.
Oh wow. It's only payback on this. If you win the cup, do FIFA give you FIFA coins?
So this is the thing, right? So there are now professional esports teams. So Manchester United, I think PSG are really good. Most of them seem to be in the Far East.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many professional esports teams, not necessarily in sport, but in traditional sport, i.e., football and American football and these kind of things. They tend to be in kind of traditionally video game places. So you're thinking your Call of Duties, you're thinking of your League of Legends and all these kinds of games, right? But what is burgeoning right now is this growth of esports in actual traditional sporting arenas. So, as I say, PSG and Manchester United, they will have an esports team. And I'm sure, I can't find the picture, but I'm sure I've seen a picture of a fully grown man playing FIFA at this kind of, big esports tournament, and he's wearing full United kit, shin pads and all, right? I swear to God, he's doing it, right? And now the thing is, like, if you go to Dubai, and I'm sure it's Dubai now, or it'll be Saudi Arabia soon, because that's kind of how they're sports washing everything. And they will sponsor it. And if you win the top prize, it might be £500,000. It might be £1 million, and you can buy a lot of packs with that.
Wow.
But the thing is, like, you're seen as like an esports athlete.
Oh wow.
And you're not.
Yeah.
You're an athlete at best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what you'd call it. I don't even know a pejorative way to call it. But like you're not an athlete, but you've just got really good hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess you can say the same about footballers. They've just got really good kind of feet, like really well coordinated feet, I suppose.
Yeah.
But like.
If you play football though, and you get to a certain age in life, it doesn't have to be that old. You get to like your late 20s or 30s, and you're not 18 anymore, and you're not as good, and you start noticing that, and you kind of see again the seductiveness about this, because you might be 35, you might be 40, you might be 50, but you're dead good at this game still, and you might have a huge beer belly, but you can knock these goals in. And you can see that's the siren call. That's the siren call.
The siren call is a good way of saying it, because there are so many lads who, they give it the, I could have been pro, but I got a really bad injury. I was never able to make it. Yeah.
How many times have you heard that?
All the time. Right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Spurs Academy. But actually, like that siren call never ends.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you reach my age and you're 32 and you think, well, I'm never going to be a professional footballer anymore. Like that's, I could never have been a third. I'm absolutely bang average on a Division 2 Southern League team in Lincoln. But ultimately, that siren call, if you're esports, it never ends. Mm. So that hyperreality, that fake at least that kind of representation of an image of a complicated world, is so unbelievably seductive. Because it never ends. Because you can be good at it up until up until your 60s. And actually, there are some kind of viral, videos and Instagram, profiles and things where you've got like an 80-year-old granny who's playing Fortnite and she's really good. I think it never really ends. Like it never really ends. And if you can have a marathon, kind of what do you call them? Like a like an entry. It's like your 25s to 35s or whatever it is. Like what are they called?
The entry,
like a heat or something, but then you get like the 80+ category. Right. There could be like an 80+ category for esports one day, and and you're just there and you got your headphones on.
Man, you can always be great.
You can always be great.
And
earn lots of money.
But
it's not real.
It's not real. It really isn't. And so then you have to kind of get to the philosophical thing. Well, first of all, Baudrillard would say that well, what is real? Because the real isn't real. But I think there's one thing about football that is smell and sensory. It's taste, even. It's all of those things that that the hyperreality doesn't include the sensory, and so I think that might be kind of like the thing that makes it more real, even if the philosophers will tell you it's not completely real. It's more real because you can taste it and smell it and touch it. It hurts, and and sometimes it's more pleasing than hurt. And
I mean, have you ever heard of the map paradox?
No.
So the map paradox, I can't remember who it was. I remember doing this in a lecture a while ago.
It's Diderot, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think.
He says, imagine there was a map, and this map is the most good, because this is the thing, right? And Baudrillard would say that that maps over time become more important than the territory that they define, because you don't have to go there anymore. I can see it all on there. I can now go through the streets of Tokyo through Google Maps. I don't need to go to Tokyo. I can see it all there. But so there's this thing about the map where the map is not the territory. They are two completely distinct things. Like even though one is a representation of the other, they are not the same thing. Now, this philosopher, whoever it was, I'm pretty sure he's Eastern European. Anyway, he says, imagine this then. Imagine if this map is enormous. In fact, this map of Britain is exactly the same size as Britain, and it is a perfect recreation in 3 dimensions of Britain, right? It's the most accurate map that you could have of Britain, because it is literally, like, it's not to scale, it is literally to scale. Like, there is no, like, kind of 1 to 50, 1 to 500, 1 to 5,000. It is literally a 1-for-1 replica of Britain, right? He says, now, the problem with that is, inside this map of Britain, there would have to be this map of Britain. And within that map of Britain, there would have to be another map of Britain, because this is 1-for-1. This is everything in this room. My Pepsi Max bottle, everything is mapped out. Everything is perfectly mapped out exactly as it is, so I can get around. But within that then is another map, within another map, within another map, ad infinitum, to infinity. It never end. And that can't be real.
No.
And so that's how we know that there is a clear distinction between this hyper reality and reality. They're not the same thing. They can never be the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they're distinct things, because it'd be paradoxical to suggest that they are.
Yeah. And that, I don't know about you, but that for me as a human being is a tremendous relief. Because I want to think that the world that I live in and smell and touch and see and hear is reality and
means something,
and we can preserve it.
We can preserve it. So then I guess our lesson then is, Jack, I guess our to this long ramble, I guess, is to suggest get off your Xbox, get off your PlayStation, get off your PC. go down to your local Sunday league team, your Saturday league team, your grassroots team, and go watch them play.
Yeah.
Go buy a pint. Because if you go to like a grassroots team, then you can have a pint while you're there. Maybe a bottle because it's cold, right? you can have a pie. You can really enjoy it. You can really get involved in it, and one day that they might want to bring out a new stand, and you're gonna go have them paint it, and you can get involved in the community again. And
I think that's exactly right, and it will give you pleasures and highs that Hyperreality will never serve.
That FIFA will never give you.
It will never serve
The organisation or the game. Oh dear. So on that then, I think it's probably time we come to a close. Next week we're going to be doing part 2 of this, where we really look at the nature of reality and why the real world has this impact upon us. And we're going to be looking at this thing, this very famous thought experiment called Mary the Colour Scientist, and this philosophical notion of qualia. So hanging in there for us for part 2. But from here on in, I suppose it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me. And I'd just like to thank our sponsors, Pepsi Max.
You prick. I wish I was sponsored by Pepsi Max.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be horrendous for my health. But do you know what? They're only 2 calories.
2 calories.
2 calories.
And well worth the money. Buy Pepsi Max.